What's going on, y'all? This is Adrian Marcel, and I get my R&B from ThisisRnB. Tune in. You know, week after next, one thing I didn't want to do is pressure myself into trying to make another 7 days a week, because I didn't try hard to make 7 days a week. You know, it was something that was natural. It was something that I enjoyed doing. I had a good time doing. And week after next, I wanted it to kind of be the same thing, you know. And we have this thing where we're constantly recording. We're constantly doing new music, though we may not put it out. And I think that's why I was so comfortable being able to put out a project for free and even coming out with another one for free. I mean, I feel like it's something that I do. I make music. And if you like this, then you'll like my future stuff, because all of this is who I am, you know. And for week after next, to be honest, the recording process, we didn't really start locking in on what songs were gonna be a part of it until I want to say February this year. So, and it came out April, May, I want to say. So we had just really locked in, and we had a whole bunch of records that we were gonna put on it. And myself and Jay Hancock, you know, my writer, we went in and we just rewrote the whole mixtape. I mean, it was like, you know what, we've been working really hard to try to make songs for this. I think we haven't talked about enough of what's going on with me now. And I think we just reshaped the whole thing. And that's why we had to keep the name Week After Next, because it in so many ways, it's what comes next after 7 days a week. You know, after you have kind of got an understanding of who I am, this is the next chapter. And this is really where you kind of get into who I am. Not just what I'm about, but what I'm going through. You know, so Week After Next is kind of like the catch up, you know, since. And I just felt like as long as it was pressure free, as long as I enjoyed doing it, as long as I had a good time, then it would be received the way it needed to. And I just had to be real, and I had to be respectable to the audience that I knew would be listening. And how I do that is just to always be myself. So when it came out, you know, and people had different reviews about it. I mean, you know, and nothing was bad, and that was the blessing about it. Everyone loved it, but I think that, you know, some people had to get accustomed to, oh, this is not like 7 days a week, and it was never supposed to be, you know. But after they listened to it and rolled with it, it was kind of like, oh, okay, now this song is becoming my song. Now this song, now every song I feel, it just has to be something that was felt. And 7 days a week, we didn't have the time for that. It had to be go right now, hit right now. It's like, it's gotta catch you right now. Week After Next, I wanted that to be a slow marinade. Like, just take it slow. You know, it'll give you the same feeling, because it comes from the same place. There are songs that I would have loved to put on Week After Next, you know, and it would have been perfect. It would have fit. But for me, I think that's the catch-22. It's like, you know, I do this all the time. I make music. I love to make music, and I will give you free music because I feel like this is what I do. Now, the thing is, though, some has to be held back, you know, and it's just which ones, you know. And for me, all my projects, I like to have a vibe to them. You know, it has to move a certain way. You have to feel a certain way, and I always just want to hold on to that and keep that. And some of the songs that were done already were like, you know what? I like that this is me, and to me, this is a timeless record. So why put it out right now? You know, hold on to it so that you never lose the essence of that hungry artist. You know, I hear that a lot. People are always talking about, you know, after a while, you know, you get this great first album, and then 3-4 albums in, it's like, oh, I still love him as an artist, but it's just not the same hunger it was. But how can you, when life is different, things have changed, and everything is a little more elevated for you? So for me, it's almost like, what are those things called when you like you put something in there, you bury it in the ground, and then time capsule, centuries from now, people pick it up. You know, it's kind of like that. It's like, let's go back into the vault and add this texture to it, so people can always hear that it's like a smell when you go somewhere and you're like, oh, I know what that is. It's like that. You know, I never want to lose that with my audience. So I think that a lot of it is just some strategic thinking at times. When I met up with Right Now, you know, the group that wrote it, it was different. but I felt it because I knew what we needed. We needed a radio record. We needed something that could be more in the club, or not even in the club, but rhythmic as well as urban, you know, and up tempo. And I think when 2 a.m. came about, it was perfect because, again, I don't like to put out music that's not based upon who I am or what I stand for, what I'm about, you know. And with that record, it wasn't far-fetched from that at all. You know, it being an R&B singer, you know, and you working every other night, you in the clubs and you perform and everything, you meet different people, different girls, you have different stories and different situations that happen, and half the time it is 2 a.m. because that's when club gets out, or that's when you leave in the club, you know, whatever. So I think it just went so well. And though it was very different, I was a little skeptical because I was afraid that my audience would be standoffish, you know, but they weren't. They accepted it. And like you said, it took time, but I think that everything with me has always taken time. And it's always worked out for the better that way. So I never worried. I never feared it going away. You know, I think that I put everything I could into it so that it wouldn't. But again, it's just it slow burned, and people caught on one by one, and it's a great record. It's a great record in my opinion as well. I'm a fan of the record myself. You know, so I think that it's not nowhere near done. I think, like, again, having that slow takeoff, I think that there's still more to come with the record, you know, and it's just a feel good thing that everybody can relate to. And I think that's what AM or myself, I think that's what I focus on is, can you relate to it? Do you have to think too hard about a memory when I'm talking? And if you don't, then we're right on the money. But if you have to start kind of readjusting things in your mind to remember because I'm throwing you off with things that don't make sense, then we've kind of lost the goal. So I think 2 a.m. was right there on the money, you know. You know what? Again, with me, you know, I'm one of those type of artists that is very enclosed, and I like to kind of keep my personal life away from the business life, you know, and at some point they have to kind of meet and intertwine, but how much of it is on me, you know. And one thing about being a new artist, I'm not trying to give up too much too early. You know, it's all about learning. You know, it's all about, you know, even in a relationship, when you're with somebody, if you learn everything about them at that moment, it's kind of like, okay, a year from now, I need something new because I know your every move. You're about to step left. There you go. You stepped left. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like that. But, you know, yeah, that was something that I just wanted to sprinkle out there at the time, you know, because she's very much a part of my creative process as far as how conscious I am in what I'm saying. The way I try to relate to women just having a daughter, you know, and understanding what that means, you know, to raise one. So again, I say I speak to women, but I speak for women for many reasons. I have a lot of nieces, I have a lot of nephews, I have a lot, you know what I mean? I have a lot of children that are in my family outside of just her. So it's most important for me to continuously inspire in a way. Now, that doesn't mean I'm not going to be my age. You know, that doesn't mean that I'm going to totally censor everything that there is. Life is real, and it's not always PG-13. But at the same time, it's all about the intent, and it's all about, you know, the goal for it. You know, so when I say, even when I cuss sometimes in my records, you know, there's a purpose, there's a meaning for it. You know, I had an English teacher that always told me, you know, you can cuss in this only if it makes sense. If you absolutely have to say this word to describe the feeling and the emotion, then use it. If not, if you can find something better, then use it. And in my music, it just so happens that there are times for that no, you hurt me and you got me effed up. I'm not messed up. No, you got me effed up. You know, and to get the severity across, you know. But I'm very conscious because of that reason. But I just wanted it to be little treats and gifts for those true supporters and those true fans who actually care about that type of stuff. You know, there's people who don't care. It's about the music, and that's fine. I love that too. But for the people who do and who are constantly on social medias and always looking up, trying to find different things on me, why not me give it to you than someone else bend it and give it to you the wrong way? Yeah. Oh man, it's a sacrifice, and I think that a lot of artists don't really understand that. And I think it's a patient game, especially as an up and coming artist, new artist, because you have a lot of people who are already established. Who this is the easy way. It's not a lot of work putting someone who is house known out. And they're putting out constantly new music. So, and then there's always a new artist on the rise. So how do you depict the true from the fake, from the real, from the the phony? I mean, it gets difficult. But for me, I think that being in that situation as well, it grounds me a little more, and it allows me to be more patient and, again, strategic in the way that I think, and how I give my music out and how I go about it. But not always being able to be there, missing a lot of times, a lot of things in their life. But I always make it a point that it's for her and it's for my family. I do it for the women in my family, for the loved ones in my family that have always pushed me. Have always kept me grounded and everything. So I think that it's not hard for me as long as those people know. And I always try to get my family time in. I'm very much family orientated. With my siblings and nieces and nephews and aunties and uncles and all of that. I love family, so I think that's where I get my stories from a lot of the time, to come back and be fueled to go on this 6-month promo, or this 3-month tour, or this whatever it may be, and it fuels it, because it's what I love to do, and I love to do it for them. So